I run an AI automation agency by myself. No VA, no content manager, no content team, just me, a laptop, and a small set of tools I have deliberately chosen over everything else I've tried. And I want to be clear about what I mean by run. I mean client work, outreach, content, admin, research, reporting, everything. No no additional persons, everything done solo. If you're building a business on your own, or you're trying to figure out how to actually use AI in your work as opposed to just reading about it, this video is for you. I'm going to walk you through the exact tech stack that I use, why I chose each tool, and what I replaced to get there. Before I go into the stack, I want to say something quickly because I think it will save you a lot of time. Most content about AI tools is written by people who test tools, not people who actually use them in real business. There's a big difference. Testing a tool for video or newsletter means that you use it for a few days, form an impression. That impression is what you turn into content for your newsletter or video. Using a tool in real business means that you rely on it when client deadline is tomorrow, when something breaks, or when you're tired and you just need it to work. So everything I'm about to share, I have used in real world. Some of it I've built clients automations around. Some of it is how I run the studio day to day. I'm also going to be honest when something has a limitation, because pretending every tool is perfect is not useful to anyone. All right, 5 tools. Let's go. The first one is Anyten. If you've been following me for a while, you will know that I'm a huge Anyten fan. This is the core of almost everything that I built. Anyten is an automation platform that lets you connect apps and build workflows that run automatically without you writing any code in most cases. If you've heard about Zapier or Make.com, it is the same. Well, it is in the same category, but in my experience, it is significantly more capable for the kind of work that I do. Here is why I landed on Anyten as my primary tool. First, you can self-host it. That means that you can run it on your own server, control your data, and you're not paying per workflow execution. For a studio doing client work, that matters both for cost and data handling conversations with client. Anyten lets you write JavaScript directly inside a node. So when you hit the edge of what a no-code interface can do cleanly, you do not have to switch to a different tool. You just drop your code into the node and you carry on. That flexibility is what keeps me in Anyten, other than just switching from one tool to another. Here's a practical example. I have a workflow where a new lead fills in a form on the website. The data gets enriched, a personalized email goes out within minutes, and then they get added to the right segment in my CRM. And a task is created for me to follow up. The entire sequence runs without me touching it. Building that in Anyten was very clean. Maintaining it is also very clean. For client work, I use Anyten to build custom automations around their operations. Things like pulling data from one system, transforming it, pushing it somewhere else, generating reports on a schedule, routing inbound messages intelligently. Most of what I pitch to clients gets built in Anyten. The limitations I'll be honest about is that Anyten has a learning curve, especially if you are self-hosting. If you are brand new to automation, I would suggest that you give yourself some time to learn it, and preferably learn from the cloud version before you move into self-hosting. The investment is also worth it. It's some investment, but it is worth it. The second tool is Claude, specifically Claude Code. I know saying I use AI sounds obvious to someone in this space, but I want to be specific about how I use it because I think people are drastically underusing this tool. I use Claude Code as my working environment, not just as a chatbot I put questions into, but as an actual environment where I do the work. I have built a system on top of it that functions as my executive assistant. It holds context about my business, my projects, my clients, my business, and it can take action on my behalf. This is how I work. It's not just a demo. For thinking, when I am working through a client's automation brief and I'm not sure how to structure the workflow, I describe the problem and walk through it in conversation. When I'm pressure testing a business case or trying to identify gaps in a proposal before I send it, I do that in Claude. When I need to go deeper, on a topic quickly, I use it to synthesize and point me into where my understanding is incomplete. The key mental shift is and this is where most people are leaving value on the table, is treating it like a smart collaborator who has full context about your work, not a search engine that you just ask some questions to. The quality of what you get out is almost entirely dependent on how much structure and context you have put in. One practical note though, Claude Code is the version I use for technical and operational work because it can read files, run scripts, and actually do things for me, not just answer questions about doing things. This is a meaningful difference in how a lot of people do. Quick one. If you find this useful, please subscribe. I put out one of this every week, all practical, no hype. Third tool, Brevo, which most people will know under its old name, Send in Blue. Brevo is where I manage contacts, run email outreach, send campaigns, and it's not the most glamorous tool on the list, but it's the most directly connected to revenue. Here's why I use it over alternatives like Mailchimp and HubSpot. Brevo has a genuinely usable free tier that covers a lot. For your pre-revenue or early revenue business, that matters a lot because all of these tools tend to add up when you look at the cost, especially if you have not started, making money. HubSpot is good, but the pricing scales in a way that is hard to justify until you have a proper sales operation. Mailchimp has gotten worse. Brevo sits in a sweet spot, solid deliverability, good segmentation, a basic CRM layer, and a transactional email built-in. In practice, I use Brevo to manage my prospect list, run outreach sequences, and track engagement. It connects cleanly with anything. No need for new tools or new leads, and new leads flow in automatically into the right list and trigger follow-up sequences without me manually doing anything. The limitation is that the CRM in Brevo is very basic. If you're running a complex pipeline with lots of deal changes or stages, you'll probably outgrow it very quickly. For a solo founder doing consultative sales with a manageable number of prospects, it just does the job. Fourth tool, Google Drive. Everything that needs to exist somewhere and be findable later lives in Google Drive. Client brief, project notes, workflow, documentation, content ideas, research, SOPs, all of it. The reason this matters for a one-person operation is that your own memory is not a reliable system. When you are the only one in a business, the temptation is that you keep things in your head because there's no one to hand it over to. That works until it doesn't. Until you come back from your project after 3 weeks of being away and you cannot remember what decisions you made or why. Google Drive forces you to externalize your thinking, and because it is Google, it plays nicely with everything else. Docs for writing, sheets for data, forms for intake, and it connects to anything so I can push output like reports and research directly into the right folder automatically. I know people reach for Notion or Confluence for this, but honestly, Google Drive does everything I need without adding additional tool. The search is good, the sharing is straightforward, and if you're already in the Google ecosystem, it's just zero friction. The limitation though, folder structure discipline matters a lot. If you just dump files without clear naming convention for your folder and the right hierarchy, the drive becomes very messy really fast. Set up a structure one day and stick to it. Tool number 5, make.com. I still keep make.com in my stack, but I want to be clear about where it fits. Anything is my primary automation tool. Make is where I go when I need to build something very quickly for a specific context. Sometimes for a client who's already on Make, or when I want to prototype something fast before deciding if it is worth a full anything build. Make is beginner accessible than anything. The visual builder is clean, the integration library is large, and if you were new to automation, it's a good place to learn how workflows work. The pricing model works on operations rather than tasks, which makes it cheaper than Zapier or anything. But if you are asking me which tool I reach for when I'm building something for a real client or a real operational workflow, it's anything. So that's the stack. Anything for every automation workflow, Claude as my operational AI layer, Brevo for CRM and email, Google Drive to keep all my documents and to keep everything coherent, make.com to build really fast or meet a client who is already there. 3 things I want you to take from this. Number 1, the tools are not the hard part. The hard part is deciding what to automate and why. Start with your most repetitive task and work backwards from there. Number 2, you do not need all 5 from day one. If you're just starting, pick one automation tool and one CRM and learn how it works. Make sure you get it working well before you add anything else. Anything if you want to build for long term, Make if you want to learn quickly. The real advantage of this stack is that the pieces connect. Anything talks to Brevo, anything talks to Notion. Claude helps me design the workflows, the whole thing function together as a system, not a collection of apps. If you want to see how any of these work in practice, I'll be doing more videos like this one. Subscribe so that you don't miss out on it. If you're running a business and you want help building automations like this, the link to 3 balconies is in the description. Thanks for watching.